Hey everyone, Santhony Byrne Tano kinda here, the internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. And it's time for another segment of reviewing your music. We have come online live within the Twitch community on our page. It's linked down below. Check it out. And we're going to be going through some fan submissions at random that are thrown at us and just see what talent's bubbling up within the viewer community. Usually there's quite a bit. Usually the submissions are pretty creative and surprising, and I am expecting no less from this song titled Shrimp in the Bucket. It's going to be our first one for this evening. The username was Hemxn. That is also the artist's name, so if you want to search it up on Spotify, that's what it is. Song, as I said, is Shrimp in the Bucket, and this artist has categorized their music as being lo-fi. I imagine maybe in the lo-fi hip-hop or lo-fi indie rock realm. I guess we'll see what kind of lo-fi, but it's lo-fi. It's a lo-fi one, everybody. It's a lo-fi. It's a lo-fi. All right, let's give it a spin. Let's see what let's see what I think. Let's see what everybody thinks about it. Ba-bam. Okay. Nice. 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 Well, yeah, we had a lo-fi hip-hop instrumental vibe there. Loved the sample chops. The sample chops were probably the most fun and colorful element of the instrumental. Those harps, the strings, it felt very like old school, musical, felt like old school Disney. It was a nice vibe. It was a nice vibe. It was a great sound. I thought the way that you touched, some of those harps and threw those in occasionally was really cool. I don't really have much of an issue with the sample. I guess most of my issues come from an overall vibe thing with the beat. I don't disagree with your categorization of this thing as like lo-fi, but the thing is like the sample felt significantly more lo-fi than the drums actually did, to the point where the drums actually felt a little separate from the sample, especially the hi-hat. The hi-hat felt very crisp, very digital, very loud, very in your face. And there wasn't kind of that soft, gauzy quality to it that you get out of most lo-fi music. And I'm not talking just in terms of like the hi-hat. I mean, when you're talking about like some of the best lo-fi style instrumentals out there, like everything tends to be kind of like wrapped in a similar sonic texture and, I guess characters, that it all feels like it's, has kind of like a vintage quality to it together. You want every element of your piece sounding like it's coming off like an old dirty cassette tape that's like warped to fuck. So, while the sample gave that vibe, the drums didn't really, but here's the cool thing. Most, samplers and beat machines and groove boxes out there and DAWs, come with features or plugins that allow you to make your sounds more lo-fi. It's out there. You just got to kind of, look for it and just experiment and just try different stuff. You could make things sound grittier and grimier through bit crushing, filters and a whole host of other things. I think it's just kind of a matter of experimenting with the way that your drums sound to get them to sound a little bit more together and coming from the same place as the samples that you're, working with, which again sounded very vintage, very dusty. Loved the chops for the most part, but the drums just felt too separate sonically from everything else. Structurally, I thought the track had a lot to offer, but that was a little mixed as well. I liked the fact that you were experimenting with these pauses and these breakdowns and these starts and stops, and some of them went really well and some of them not so much. There were some parts where toward the beginning of the track where maybe you had what I would call like some snare flubs, where you have like a half-hearted snare roll where a couple of snare hits kind of stumble over each other and the beat stops for a moment, and it's an awkward pause, and then it kind of continues on from there. I like that you're trying something, but those moments didn't go over so well in my opinion. There were spots where you would drop out the drums, and then all of a sudden you'd throw, I forget, like you'd throw like a harp hit or a string in there. That worked, like if you're taking something out, either have that pause be super tight so that when the rush of sound comes back in, it's exciting and don't lose, control of the groove. Or, if you're taking something out, just throw in a quick hit or something just to kind of like transition onto the next thing. There's a lot of different ways to create pauses and changes and transitions into other moments. And I like that you're attempting it. Too often there are just like lo-fi beats out there that as soon as they hit their pace and they hit their groove, they just like stay on that forever and it becomes a boring, mind-numbing thing. At least you're kind of changing it up a little bit and offering some switches and offering like some unexpected, little breakdowns and drops, dropouts. So, just work on those. If you're going to continue incorporating them, I think they either need to be tighter or provide, a little bit of a transitional sound or moment. And, either that or just don't hit us with so many of them, I suppose, because there were quite a bit of them. If you overdo it, if you throw in too many, they sort of lose their novelty after a while. But overall, like cool beat, a lot of cool elements to it. Again, liked your your use of the samples here, and good vibe and good sound all around. And again, thank you very much for submitting once more. All right, here is our next submission over here. Again, username was Narrow Elf. Artist is Jodaki. Song is Walking Cringe Compilation. The genre is emo/punk rock. All right, there's quite a bit of that going around today, isn't there? Okay, I do like the almost like weird psychedelic geometric shapes strewn about the cover art over here. And does it say Awk Rock? All right, I guess we'll see. Again, Walking Cringe Compilation is the name of this track. Let's put it on and give it a spin. Ba-bam. Tell me it's easy. Tell me I'm cheesy. Nice. Nice, Narrow Elf. McFarlane, just give me that next submission so I have it on deck while I'm talking about this one. Thank you. But yeah, that was pretty good. I like that quite a bit. Narrow Elf, or obviously Jodaki. Thank you so much for submitting. Walking Cringe Compilation. Thoughts on this? I was kind of surprised with the emo and punk rock tag that you put on this because like. The first and probably most consistent influence and sound or, vibe that I got off of it was probably like Pixies. And then the more that I heard it, there seemed to be like some undertones of very, very like old school alt rock, like Pablo Honey era, Radiohead a little bit as well. I thought the guitars had bite. They were, a little rough and a little lo-fi, but not too rough and lo-fi. The drums had punch, but and they came off pretty raw as well, but not so raw that it felt messy. And the performance between the drums and the guitars was super tight from beginning to end, even during that portion where things like sped up and changed. And there were quite a few changes across the track. And that's what kind of surprised me. And also an element of it that I liked so much is that it always seemed to be introducing a new thing and a new idea and a new shift for a song that at first sounds so raw and dejected. It does present a lot of different ideas in terms of like different lyrical motifs and melodies and song sections. I'd need to listen to it again to get like a full I guess like feel for the structure of it, but there were several moments that felt kind of like hooks, but none of it really like repeated in a super catchy or like cohesive way. And I guess that's another element of it that I would comment on if I guess you're open to it. To me, this kind of felt like you were almost packing two songs into one. There were a few moments where there was like a really catchy melody line or sort of like a, like that, tell me I'm cheesy. Like that to me sounded like the start of a chorus, but you sort of like walked it out and then didn't really bring it to a conclusion. You sort of brought, shifted on to another thing, which was also pretty good. But, I guess if like you're looking to make a moment in a track that you sort of embed in the heads of people who are listening to it, you might want to center around a more traditional song structure. Or if you're just trying to do like a weird linear thing, that's fine too. I guess it just, is all about your intent at the end of the day. And I'm just sort of making suggestions on things that you may or may not have considered, I suppose. I still, even if the structure of the track currently isn't really making the song stick with me in sort of like an earworm type of way, I did find the way that you structured the track to be kind of creative, especially that speed up point, toward the end. Like at least it was kind of surprising to me. I certainly enjoyed it more than a song that I would have found to be one dimensional and, just kind of like circling around the same idea over and over and over. The vocals, I was a little split on. There were moments where the vocals came off super passionate and really, I guess, very, I guess I'll say like heart-wrenching emo style, very melodramatic, and, it was kind of popping out at me. There were moments, especially toward the front end of the track, where they felt really underwhelming and maybe not EQ'd as well as they could have been. So they didn't sound quite as crisp, I think, as they should have. That seemed to clear up a little bit toward the back end of the track. And I don't know exactly why, but, and look, again, I don't know your full intentions with the song. Maybe you just wanted to play it super low key to start and then sort of, make it more fiery toward the finish. But regardless, I think there could have been things done with the vocals that would have made them pop out and stand out a little bit more toward the beginning of the track, to make, the whole trip to the end, worth it for somebody who might not be, I guess, like hooked in by it from the first 30 seconds. You know what I mean? Cause this track in a way is kind of a slow burner. It does take a little bit to get going, but once it gets going, it sounds really good. It's quite visceral. And, again, overall, I thought, the vocals went down pretty well. I thought that the guitars and drums sounded tight as hell. I just think maybe there were like a lot of catchy moments that you could have like condensed down on or focused down on and like given to us again, maybe a couple of more times to like really make them stick, I'm sure you've probably written other tracks that are along those lines before, but, especially at this stage where maybe you're just like a budding writer and you're trying to get your stuff out there, like, focus on just like trying to get your foot in the door of people's heads and just, write those bangers, write those catchy tracks, don't let a really catchy moment that you've come up with just merely kind of go off into the breeze. It's like really hammer down on it and make it sound big, which I guess is maybe the last thing I'll comment on with this track. Like there were so many good ideas. I felt in a way it was like a little bit of a tragedy that, there wasn't a whole lot of layers to the song musically or instrumentally. Like there are definitely like, I think some changes to the bass, if I even noticed any bass, or like some guitar leads or maybe some keys or something, that could have added like an extra dynamic to all of it, and really sort of added to this character of the song. It's kind of always changing. It's always offering something different. It's always doing something different. I think different instrumental shifts and different instrumental ideas, different layers popping in or sort of hopping on here and there, could really kind of aid in a solo, maybe. Yes, as someone in chat suggests. Different ideas like that could definitely, help bring your song character if you're going to keep throwing out different ideas and, sections and passages in there. So yeah, those are all my thoughts. It's a lot of different thoughts, but it's a track that has a lot of different things going on in it. So, so apologies for not organizing all of those thoughts probably as perfectly as I could have, but those are my thoughts. And again, thank you one more time for submitting, of course. Again, if you want to look up our buddy Jodaki, it's obviously right here on Spotify. And for anyone watching this on YouTube, all the tracks, all the artists that we talk about in this video are linked down below, of course. Username, Based Godfrey. Artist is San Opoku. Oh, no, it says Opoku. It's spelled one way in the text in another way. Opoku. Okay, Sam Opoku. We have the song Energy, and the genre is Afro Pop / R&B. All right, let's pop it on. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what it's got to offer. Hopefully energy. I'm hoping for energy. Let's see.
Careful you don't go block my way. I just did it right beside my lane. It's gonna be okay. Everything happened inside of a season.
Oh, I was sorry to stop that fast, but that was good. That was good as fuck. McFarlane's picking heat out of the submissions. Geez. Look, I'm not going to act like I'm, an Afro Pop expert or, sort of like Afro Pop or Afro Beats expert as far as like the new wave goes. But like a lot of the stuff I hear out there right now, this sounds as professional grade as a lot of that. Like, holy shit, the engineering on the beat is really good. The rhythm sounds great. Your vocals sound incredibly nice. I mean, is it the most unique vocal in the world? I wouldn't say it is or it isn't. I guess like as far as your voice goes, I guess I would be curious based on this song to hear you over a more fiery track, to hear how you would perform over that. Obviously I feel like the energy that you deliver on this song, you deliver because obviously the song and the instrumental is very low key, but I'd be curious if, you hit me up over Twitter or something like that. Just to send me maybe some of your other stuff if you have some other tracks out there that maybe have a higher tempo or something like that. But regardless, the singing was actually quite good across the track. I actually like that you didn't touch up your voice too much. It just felt very natural, felt very intimate, felt very organic. The beat felt just so spacey and so atmospheric, and it was just like such a strong vibe. The chorus was well put together as well. I guess, maybe between the atmospheric keys, your vocals, and the horns, there were some points where it felt a little cluttered, but I don't think that means that you should take anything away. If you were to do anything else with the track, or a track that is similar to this in the future, it might be easier to kind of make things just sound a little clearer if you are maybe panning some things slightly in one direction or like EQing things so that certain sounds take up a certain frequency a little bit better or a little bit more clearly, so that it doesn't sound like there's a lot of competition for your attention in those moments. But still, I love the addition of the horns. The vocals sounded solid from beginning to end. You were hitting those melody lines really nicely. The overall vibe and tone of the track was blissful. It was euphoric. It was sensual, and it had kind of a nocturnal aesthetic to it. It was as well. It felt very nighttime. It felt like nighttime's the fucking right time. I don't really have too many issues with this track, honestly. I think it's just really great all around. It's just sounding good as fuck. Again, based on what I've heard here, I'd love to hear, you on other songs just to get like a better sense and a vibe of like, how you sort of perform outside of this context. But this was really nice. It sounds just as professional as anything else that's out there trying to inhabit this lane right now. It sounds just as professional in my opinion as like any WizKid track that I've heard people like throwing me over and over and over. So I don't know, man. Are you doing music videos or anything? I don't know what, kind of budget you have or anything like that, but, I think this is a song or any song that's of this quality is like, worth trying to promote the shit out of, either, getting it out there in a music video, getting it in some TikTok videos or some shit like that. I think this is worth spreading around the internet. This is a vibe. So I don't know. I think I can leave it at that. I wish I had more to pull apart with it, not to say I wish the track was worse or anything, but I don't have a ton of notes. I just think it sounds good. So, okay. But, Bass Godfrey, thank you. Thank you for, hipping us to this one. Appreciate it very much. That was, quite nice, quite good. Yes. Energy music video. Okay. Well, I'll have to look it up. I'm just going to screenshot this. I'll have to peep it. I'll have to look it up. All right, well, guys, that will be it for this segment of reviewing your music. I'm going to be back in a few moments on Twitch, and we'll do some more tracks. But on YouTube, this is going to be the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to leave your comments down below. Tell us if you dug any of these tracks that we listened to this evening. Remember, all the artists that I talked about are linked in the description box. So remember, all the artists that we talked about in this video are linked in the description box. So if you want to check them out, listen to their songs, you can find it there. Over here next to my head, it's another video you can check out, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you in the next one. Anthony Fantano, reviewing your music forever.